Hello, and welcome to Lit by Moonlight, where it's not a phase to say golly or you dig me every couple of paragraphs. This week we begin our month of revisiting the books we had to read in high school with S.E. Hinton's The Outsiders.
Later, me, Caitlin. I'm sorry, but you have to do the summary at some point. Anyway. You know, I was laughing back when we first recorded this, but I'm super not laughing now. I swear, I never hate myself more than when I go to sit down to edit the episode and I hear myself go, the summary's a later me problem. Well, now it's a current me problem, and I'm too lazy to write my own summary, so this summary of The Outsiders comes from thoughtco.com. Thank you, ThoughtCo, for helping me when I procrastinate. The story in The Outsiders centers on two rival gangs, the rich and posh Socs and the greasers from the wrong side of the tracks. The story is narrated from the point of view of Ponyboy Curtis, a precocious 14-year-old greaser who has a literary bend and college potential. The events in The Outsiders gradually escalate, starting with two greasers befriending two Soc girls, followed by a fight in which a Soc boy is killed and the death of a greaser, leading up to the final rumble between the two factions. Despite the emphasis on violence, the characters in the novel undergo significant personal growth, learning to see individuals beyond the social group they belong to. Hello, my name is Caitlin, and I recently low-key had a ghost encounter.
Oh? What do you mean a ghost encounter? What happened?
My cousin has a haunted music box that, the music in it, or it's like a jewelry box that plays music every time you open it, and then you have to wind it to, like, get the music to play, and she never winds it, and, it'll just play the music.
That's terrifying.
It was kind of cool, and then, like, after she showed it to me, and I was, like, touching it and, like, messing around with it, like, a little bit later that day, I heard twice, my name whispered. Like...
Oh, I fucking hate that.
Yeah, I heard, like,
no.
Caitlin. And I was like, oh, it's Courtney. And I turned around, but, like, she was doing something else with her husband. And then I, like, kept walking, and then I heard it again. And I was like, is she messing with me? But, like,
No.
she was completely in conversation. And I was just like,
No.
It's my new ghost friend.
It's a no. That is a no for me. Was it like a malevolent Caitlyn, or did it just feel like it was...
It was just like they were trying to get my attention. They're like, Caitlin. And I just was like, that's my cousin. They're like, Caitlin. And I was like, what? And so I have a new friend. I don't know if they followed me back to my house or if they're still chilling at my cousin's house, but new friend unlocked. And I'm here for it.
Oh my god, new friend unlocked.
Listen,
new friend unlocked.
As long as they're nice, they can stay. I don't care. Do whatever you want in your afterlife. So that's my intro. Who are you?
Who am I? I'm actually the ghost that haunts your music box.
Oh my god, it's so nice to meet you.
It's good to see you, Caitlin. Remember that?
Yeah. Oh my god, we go way back.
Yeah.
Classic inside joke.
Actually, I'm Emberlin. I know, didn't mean to try to trick you there. And my therapist told me this morning that in a world where everything is hopeless and it's hard to find things to control, it's helpful as terms of a coping mechanism to find like one thing that you can control and one thing to be hopeful about every day. So
Aww.
Good stuff. Do that.
Awesome. They should be a therapist.
Yeah, they should.
Just if they're wondering if they need any jobs out there.
Yeah, if my therapist is looking for a job, I think therapists should definitely be the top of their roster for jobs they should have now.
I totally agree.
So, Caitlin, we are talking about The Outsiders this week. This is basically our second read of The Outsiders since we first read it in, I think, 9th grade, right?
Yeah, that was 10 years ago. Do you feel old?
Oh. No, it was the other day. I don't know if I agree with you about that, but all right.
I realized that like yesterday, and I was like, I read this when I was 14. That was freshman year. Oh my god, that was 10 years ago.
No.
Anyway.
No, I'm going to live on in denial because denial of that is something that I can control.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Good thing.
What do you remember about this book from, like, a certain number of years ago?
From last week?
From a couple weeks ago. Yeah, from last week.
I remember it being one of the first books that we read in school where it's one of those, like, everybody reads this in school books. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not saying that we didn't read books like that in middle school like this, but I just remember being like, oh, I'm in high school now and I'm going to be reading all of the books that adults told me that they read in high school, and this was one of them. And so when our ninth grade English teacher was like, we're reading The Outsiders, I was like, sounds about right. High school, starting off to a good start, I suppose.
Yeah. I remember it being a staple in terms of, like, random things freshmen say to each other. I feel like maybe we were all going around and saying, "Take a hold, pony boy," to each other for some reason.
We were, and we were doing that, and do it for Johnny, man. Do it for Johnny.
Do it for Johnny.
Because we also watched the movie.
Yeah. Wow. That. It's weird to think how the books that you're, like, made to read. Hold on, we have a caller.
We've got our first caller.
Hello? Doing my podcast. Yeah, it should be open. It should be open. I left it over like an hour ago, so.
This is time for everyone to learn that Emberlin and her partner only have one key to their apartment.
Yeah, all right. Love you, bye. Yeah, listen, it was like on my list when I checked in. No, it was on my list when I moved in to make another key, and I just never got around to it. Also, high key, I've never lived someplace where they didn't give every single person who lives in the house their own key.
Yeah, why do you only have one
I've
key?
always lived at places. I literally emailed the realtor and was like, so when are we getting another key? And they were like, you got to make your own. And I was like, why the fuck would I do that? Like, that's literally your job. Like,
just go to Home Depot and make an extra copy so Vishwas doesn't have to text me and be like, hey, are you at Emberlin recording? No? Shit.
Yeah, I left him out there for like half an hour the other day.
There were many calls.
Did not know he was home. Yeah, he panicked a little bit there.
Well, yeah, because your phone kept going straight to voicemail, and I was like, I don't know, dude. I don't know what's going on down there. But he's just like,
I was in the shower. A little disappointed that our first caller happened to be Vishwas trying to get into the house.
So are you going to let him in? Or?
Nah.
Okay, cool.
So was there like a specific moment in this book that hooked you?
Not really. I mean, when Johnny kills Bob, that obviously gets the story moving, but there wasn't a particular moment where I was like, okay, I need to keep reading and I need to know what happens next. This book reads so quickly, it felt more like I was listening to somebody tell me a story, which essentially that's what this book is written to be like. And I was able to read it in one sitting because of how easy it was. So I wasn't necessarily hooked. It was more of just like, yeah, I might as well just keep going. And then I finished it.
Yeah, like, oh, that's the end.
Yeah.
Same here. I don't think I ever fully grasped what made this book interesting. I mean, that's not entirely true. I think overall, there are some concepts that I'll talk about in my peaks later that I really appreciate about this book. But in the sense that it's like, oh, this book is appealing to me as a ninth grader or as a 24-year-old woman. It was kind of hard for me to kind of lock myself into that because you move really quickly from one thing to the next, and a lot happens. So for me, there was no one defining moment that really made me want to keep reading on. It was just kind of like listening to somebody and listening to them tell you a story, exactly what you said. Yeah. And that's what made it interesting, but there was no one moment. Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like that kind of works because sometimes when you sit down to read a book, it's like, okay, when am I gonna really want to care about this book? And like it usually takes a couple chapters for that, especially we did a whole bunch of fantasy books in the beginning of our podcast where you kind of need to get a setup before you're really in it. And I think it was nice for this book to just be like, I'm gonna tell you a story, and you just go, okay, and you're along for the ride until it ends. So that it was kind of nice to not have a specific hook. It was just kind of like you're in it from the beginning, whether you know it or not. So
yeah, I could not agree more. It was like I didn't feel tied down to this book in the way that I would one that was like, say, 700 pages long and had like multitudes of things happening in it. I kind of like that.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because like as I'm reading some of our books that we're looking into this month, a lot of them are like that. They're very quick reads, and it makes me kind of chuckle because at the time they seemed like novellas.
Yeah.
Like, at the time I was like, this is a nightmare. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to do this. Like,
I looked
so
at
it's
this.
weird to go back to them now and be like, oh, this is fine. This is easy.
I looked at this and I was like, this is only 188 pages. Easy. Let's go. So it's kind of funny how perspectives change where you're given something to read in school and you're like, this is the longest book ever. I can't get through it. And then now it's like, I read this in 3 hours.
It was so easy the whole time. Yeah.
So, did you have a favorite quote from this book?
There were a few. Honestly, there are parts of this book that are very well written. And apparently, Essie Hinton actually wrote this book when she was very, very young.
Yeah.
I don't want to say high school age because I don't know that for certain, but I think around that time, and I believe I actually learned that in school too, that she was very young when she wrote this, which is impressive. So I wouldn't say the writing is always clear cut, but there are a couple lines that I think are really strong. That said, it might not be fair for me to say this, but I think my favorite quote was actually the Robert Frost poem. It's a really good poem, and just to hear it utilized in this book was really great, kind of breathtaking.
Yeah.
I won't recite it. I'll link it in the episode notes, but know that it's just kind of a lovely poem, and it works so well in this book when you think about the themes of like fading adolescence and societal change and class consciousness that are taking place in this book. How about you?
Well, first, I just want to say it's really cool how the use of, I believe it's called intertextualization, where you take other existing works and you work it into a new story to help with your themes. And Essie Hinton did that with both the Robert Frost Nothing Gold Can Stay poem and Gone with the Wind, which was really cool. And I, as someone who loves to see like parallels in shows and movies and stories and stuff, like I liked seeing that and how she took a book that existed in the real world and used it to help her characters. Even if you've never read Gone with the Wind, you kind of got the idea of how a character in that story connected with Johnny, so that was really cool to read. There's a few quotes that did stand out to me, but the first one that really made me go, wow, was it was from page 49. Ponyboy says, maybe the two different worlds we lived in weren't so different. We saw the same sunset. And he's talking about him and Cherry Valance, who is a Soch, and he's a greaser. And I really like this because of how unifying the sky can be. Like for me personally, if I miss someone, sometimes I just like to look up at the night sky knowing that they can see the same moon and stars. And I just think that's really cool. It's like we're all seeing the same thing. And I like this quote in the context of the book because it's the first time you start to see Ponyboy like think outside the two boxes labeled greaser and Soch that he's lived in his whole life, and realize that maybe they don't all need to necessarily hate each other so much, or just believe that, oh, if you're this person, then you're my enemy. Like, deep, when it comes down to it, you're all human, you're all the same. Maybe we should start to think about that instead of having brawls every so often. So I thought that was really cool.
So, like, was there, like, a song that you would consider using as your background music in a brawl? We didn't have a brawl anyway, just because why not, you know?
I love a good brawl. A good Thursday morning brawl. I would choose Bubblegum Bitch by Marina, just for the sole reason that I'm still waiting for a movie or a television show to have a fight sequence set to that song, purely because I think it would be funny. So I think that's an opportunity that needs to be taken. What song would you have a brawl to?
Well, first, I agree. I feel like it's crazy that that song hasn't been utilized in the way that it rightfully deserves yet. Because that's literally feels like what the song is for.
Right.
Yeah. And then I said Pink Floyd's In the Flesh because it's a great Rolling song, and it's also kind of sad when you think about the connotations of the album.
All right, who is a character in The Outsiders that you would save from a burning building?
I said Soda Pop, and I've I think appropriately labeled him the world's first little meow meow. Because like he definitely has like Blurbo from my show's energy.
He does.
I think Derry does this as well. And if you've ever seen the movie, that's literally Rob Lowe and Patrick Swayze.
Yeah.
The world's first two little meow meows. So, like, I don't think I need to explain myself. There already is, like, a plethora of Ponyboy Curtis and Johnny fanfics on Archive of Our Own, and I'm sure there's also some about, like, Soda Pop, and also some about Derry and just, like, other people, so, yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if there was fan fiction about Soda Pop and Steve, his best friend, because there was something going on there.
Yeah, there was something going on there.
Something a little LGBT going on.
Something that reflects this, something that evokes the same feelings that we had when we watched Top Gun for the first time, and we were like, this is a gay movie.
Literally.
Like, this movie is erotic, and anybody who says otherwise just doesn't understand that this is a gay movie, that this is a movie for the LGBTQ community. Even Tom Cruise himself can deny it from his little, like, Scientology place that he lives in. But it's true.
It's true. My character that I would say from a burning building is Johnny, of course, because he, out of all the greasers to me, he never got to truly enjoy his life, given that his parents are neglectful and abusive, and poor kid's traumatized from getting beaten up by socias, and I just really do think that he deserved better, but I guess nothing gold can stay. Haha.
Oh, that hurts me. His life sucked. It just made me really sad.
It really did, yeah.
Some people, they just never catch a break, and they're just the genuinely nicest people. Like, they don't deserve it at all. And he's one of those people, like, I feel for him. Like, this one's for Johnny. You're a real one.
Do it for Johnny. And honestly, like...
Lighters up for Johnny.
I really feel like, it sucks when it happens, but when stories give characters who, like, you go, they didn't deserve this, but, like, it's in a way where... Because Johnny dies in the book, and it's sad and horrible, but it's not like a unnecessary death. It's kind of like, this can happen in real life type thing. Like, there isn't always, like, a happy ending or a hero to save them. Yeah. So it was kind of nice to... Not nice to see it, but also nice to see that. It's like, no, like, sometimes these things happen.
Nothing gold can stay.
Nothing gold can stay.
in the sense that nothing gold can stay, is there a sense that you think there's a character that needs to wise up, as maybe Dally would say? Yeah.
I said the guy who gave Ponyboy a ride back home after the brawl and after Johnny died. Pony thanks the dude for a ride, and the guy replies, "I'm just naturally a great guy," and drives off. And it did make me laugh, but I said it because it's giving YouTuber who films himself doing a good deed for clout and compliments. It's just gonna make me laugh so hard. What character do you think needs to wise up?
I said Essie Hinton for saying this book shouldn't be adopted into a graphic novel. Boo! Boo! Apparently she replied to a tweet about this and was like, no, this is like the first book some people read. And it shows that people can read, so no. And I was like, what? Don't gatekeep that book. It would be such a dope graphic novel, first of all. And also, like, some kids just, like, if their first books are comic books, first of all, this book is not anybody's first book. I would like to talk to the person who made this their first book. Like, because if you miss out on, like, Goodnight Moon or, like, The Hungry Caterpillar per se, or one of the other children's book greats, then I need to give you a big hug, because that's not okay. But
coming out of the womb, reading The Outsiders.
Coming out the womb.
Coming out the womb. Do it for Johnny.
Ow, my labor, it hurts so much. Oh, that's because your baby's holding a book. What? Yes, your child is holding Essie Hinton's The Outsiders, and you like look down and your little like newborn baby just has like reading glasses on or like a monocle.
This is when like, I think that's the birth of Colin Robinson.
Except he's not reading. He's definitely not reading The Outsiders, though. He's reading like The Crucible.
He's actually reading like his essay on why it shouldn't be adapted into a graphic novel and why Essie Hinton is correct.
Yeah. No. Yes. That's exactly right. So yeah, that made me sad because like, what's wrong with a kid's book, like first book being a graphic novel? I'm like, what's wrong with your book getting? I would love that. I think if I was a writer and an artist came to me or somebody said, "Hey, we're going to adapt this into a graphic," I would like pinch myself.
Yeah.
I'd be like, no way. My book has such like. This book is so well known now that like we're now going to be developing into a graphic novel. Like that's really special. I feel like.
I totally get like, oh, we want to make this into a movie or a TV show, and saying no because I feel like that's fair if you like just feel like no, I just think this should stay a book, and especially like if you don't like how something is being adapted in that way. But a graphic novel, like as a visual learner, I feel like that would almost help me to understand it more. And especially like as a freshman in high school, I think there were things that I didn't necessarily grasp that I do now, and I feel like maybe if I saw pictures with it, I would understand it more. So
exactly.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Guess who's here?
All right, I'm coming.
This is why we need 2 keys.
No, I agree with you though. Like this book would be so. I wish we'd read graphic novels in school more. Just because I love graphic novels growing up, but also because like those can be really helpful and meaningful for kids that need like visuals for processing purposes. So
yeah,
like boo.
Did she say
boo.
Why or just no? Do you know?
Basically, like boo, no, because like this is a book that shows that kids can read, and this is the first book that people pick up sometimes, and it doesn't need to be a graphic novel because it's a book that you can read. Which like okay. I wish she just said something like, "Oh, you know, I like having creative autonomy over my book, and like, you know, like it's my book, it's my child. I don't want to gatekeep it." But no, instead she was like, "No, you must read this book. You better read this book if you're a child. Like, don't." But I guess it could be worse. She could be J.K. Rowling.
There it is. There it is. She hasn't been mentioned on this podcast in a while, so it's good to know that she's still on your shit list.
Yeah, for those of you at home, that's a callback. So, did you have some peaks and valleys for this book?
Yeah, my first peak is that I actually finished the book this time.
Yay! Did you not last time?
So, fun fact. I remembered while reading this now that when I got to the last couple of chapters with Pony being back home and the whole hearing that they had to go to for Bob's murder, none of it was familiar to me, especially reading about how Pony believed he was the one who killed Bob instead of Johnny, and believing that Johnny actually wasn't dead, and everything about the mental issues that he was facing in the aftermath. I was like, I don't recall this at all. And then as I'm reading, a memory resurfaced in my little brain, and I realized that when we were supposed to finish this book freshman year, I never read the last 2 chapters, and I bullshit my way through the test we had on the book on the questions pertaining to the last couple of chapters in general. And I think I still did okay because I do remember going, not bad for not knowing what happened. So I was pleasantly surprised to read the ending, and I thought it was kind of cool how it kind of all circled back like a well-looped vine.
A well-looped vine indeed. Take me back. No, that's interesting also because now I look back, isn't it strange that like one of our purposes in English class was just to read books and be quizzed on them?
Yeah.
Like, at the time that seemed like brutal, but now I feel like today I would actually really enjoy that, especially more than like, you know, being in the labor market.
Yeah, and I think I didn't finish it because it was around the same time, like we were reading it at the same time that our fall play was, and because I'm a capital T, capital K theater kid, I did not care about what was happening in English class. I was just like, I gotta know my lines, and this is more important. And I was getting home from school at like 6:30 at night every day and being like, I'll just guess. And I did.
Yeah, not enough time in the day.
Never. What was your first peak?
I would say that just in terms of coming of age novels, this is genuinely a great book. Hinton does a really great job of capturing the frustration that accompanies adolescence, of knowing that things are bad all over and not being able to do anything about it. The way the book approaches identity and class systems also just offers a really great entry point, I think, for students to begin thinking about how they themselves relate to the world around them. So all of those things are things that I don't think I necessarily picked up on in ninth grade, but rereading it now as a 24-year-old, I think are really like pertinent to like the way that the world works, and frustration that I feel now as somebody in her mid-20s who's just like, ugh, like everything sucks and I don't have any control over any of it, and it's like tearing me apart. And yeah, like I'm no teacher, but I think that one of the ways that you get what you need to take away from this book is by having a really good English teacher who kind of helps you to work through those feelings, and also maybe not being a ninth grader in 2012 who has no idea what she's doing. I have a feeling today's ninth graders would maybe look at this and get like a better conceptualize the meaning of this book. At least I hope so.
Yeah, I agree. Totally agree. Second peak. I think it's easy not to enjoy a book because it's assigned to you in school, and I really do think that assigned books can take the joy out of reading. Because I know it did for me. I never enjoyed a book fully when it was assigned to me because I'm not reading a book to enjoy a new story. It's just like I had to do it, and I'm reading it so I can pass the class. So it just takes
wasn't my choice.
Takes it away from me. And I remember not necessarily hating The Outsiders when we read it freshman year, but I definitely never would have read it otherwise, given the fact that I clearly didn't even finish the book the first time I read it, even though it was assigned to me. But now that I got to read it on my own at 24 and not 14, I liked it so much more. I think a lot of the elements of the book made so much more sense to me, like especially like with the relationship dynamics between all the Curtis siblings, like Ponyboy not understanding why Derry is the way that he is, and it's because Derry is an adult who's in charge of his two brothers and he's trying not to lose them for custody's sake, and then Soda Pop being always in the middle of everything, and even like with Dally and his life, like things just hit a little different with this go around, and I really, really appreciated it more. So what was your second peak?
So my second peak actually changed a couple times, but I would say that it's actually, I think in terms of YA novels, this is like a really respectable and solid book, because I'll tell you why. It's because this is one of the earlier YA books when YA was first becoming like a larger and more prominent, not when it was becoming a more large and prominent genre, but when it was kind of first starting out.
Yeah.
And I like it very much because I think it has something that a lot of modern YA books don't, and that's absolutely no pining and angst.
Yes.
Like, not in the sense that, I mean, there might be some stuff going on there, but like it doesn't take center stage in the book. And I like that a lot.
Yeah, I think it's really nice to read a novel where romance isn't the point of it. And there's not even romance in the book, like, at all. Like, you get mentions of Two-Bit was with this person, or Soda Pop was talking to Sandy, and that was it. Like, it felt, I think that's what made it a quicker read for me, because it was just so relatable, where it's just, like, almost like a slice of life type book.
Yeah,
where it's like,
I like those.
We're just getting a look into this family's life and the people around them, and we're not focusing on, does she like me or does he not like me? Like, what's going on? So I really enjoyed that. And to your point, on the book it says like the original young adult novel or something like that. Like, it really is like one of the first YA books. That's really cool.
Yeah, and I kind of wish, and there are probably books out there that kind of fit this mold, and if anybody has any recommendations at home, please send them to me. But, like, I think the YA slice of life idea is something that I'd like to see more of, because if I see, like, one more, like, corporate graphic cover, like, with, like, all the solid colors, I know I talked about this last time, but I'll say it again, like, novel that's, like, called something, like, I don't know, like, The Last Bridge to Home, or like corporate romance or just like something like that, I will literally lie down and I will die.
Yeah, because it's, I mean, you can relate to love stories, like, sure, but for everyday stuff, your day doesn't really revolve around, like, those romantic feelings every day. Like, that's just not how life is. Like, there are other things. So it's really cool to just be like, what's your day at work like? Or, like, who are your friends that you're talking to? And how does that affect you? And I don't know. It was kind of like a breath of fresh air for me after all the books that we've read so far.
Me too. And I found that with, like, the books that for this section as well. Surprisingly, because they didn't revolve around romance, and I didn't know how much I needed that, because I think a lot of, like, there's, like, an oversaturation of romance books in the YA world, but also just, like, I feel like in literature in general right now, and I just, like, needed a break. Yeah. To hear about something else, like, anything else.
Literally anything.
But did you have a valley for this book?
I guess my valley would be that while this is a good book and I do really enjoy it, it's not one that makes me want to necessarily read it again. It does, like, it has, like we've said, like, really good qualities to it, and I really did enjoy reading it, but it still, at the end of the day, feels like a required reading. And there are lessons within the book that English teachers everywhere will teach you, and that I can totally recognize and see and learn from. But it wasn't a book that made me go, everyone needs to read this. It was more like I finished the book and I was like, okay, I did what I was told. Like, you have so many years of life, and these are all the books that you should read. Right. Again, it's still a great book, but it just feels like I'm still checking off some sort of box.
Yeah. I can see that completely.
Yeah. What was your valley?
Yeah, there were times when I wondered more about the class system and the nuance of things I rough all over in pertinence to the socias. Because I don't disagree with the fact that wealthy people don't have as much agency as their wealthy parents. But with respect to the agency of low-income kids like the Greasers, I hope that, like, if you're going to read this book, you can take away that, not that, like, everyone has problems and being wealthy is just as much of a curse as being poor. Like, that is not the message. Yeah. But, like, because, like, when I was first, like, reading it, like, when Cherry was talking about, like, we just, like, go to parties all the time and, like, we don't know what we're doing, and I feel like my life has no point. Like, I get that, but also I think there's a part of me, the part of me that's, like, grew up poor, that's, like, listening to that and is like, oh, I'm so poor, I don't know what to do about my money.
Yeah, so I can, like, only go to parties.
I'm so bored, I like to beat children up. It's like, okay. Yeah. But instead, I'm trying to see through that and hope that the message is actually everyone has problems and everyone has minimal agency when they're young to do something about it. Yeah. But at the same time, it's true that wealthy young people have more monetary agency than poor young people in making systematic changes. So I wish there was more recognition of that. But also, I understand why there might not have been, just because Hinton wrote this in high school. But I really like, and I haven't heard a lot of analysis of this, surprisingly. So if anybody has any good links to articles, then please send them to me, because that might be, like, a really ignorant take on my part, and there might be something I'm missing. So I do want to hear more about that. But, like, if you're gonna send me something, don't be a dick to me about it. That's my only question. That's my only ask for you. Like, don't be like, actually, Emberlin. Like, just, I'm here to learn, not to be chastised. You fiends, God.
Now they're gonna chastise you just because you called them fiends.
Actually, yeah, like, no.
Actually, I was gonna be nice when you sent this to me and you were politely asking to send me articles, but since you assumed that this is how it's gonna go, actually, I'm gonna cyberbully you about this online. So
the way this is what every interaction with people on the internet is like now, though, is like why I'm scared of that and why I'm kind of like ready to block anybody that comes into my DMs already, just in case you, like, please be nice to me. I'm small.
I'm small. Okay, so if you got to pick a name for yourself that was along the lines of Ponyboy and Soda Pop, what would you be called?
Beefcake.
I like it.
Elaborating.
I don't think you should.
No.
I like beefcake.
what would you be called?
I would be Mini, short for frosted mini wheat.
Ooh, why frosted mini wheats?
I like them.
Ooh, they are good. You're right. Ooh,
It
I'm
is
craving them now.
God tier cereal. Nothing beats it.
Do you ever like when you put them on your tongue? Do you put the frosting side down on your tongue?
Yes.
Like, and then sometimes I like to suck the milk
Yes.
out of it whilst having it on my tongue.
Yes. That's how you eat
Yeah.
a listen, listeners at home. If
Yeah.
you go out, get some frosted mini wheats.
Yeah.
Okay, now here's a question. Do you put the milk first or do you put the cereal in first?
Put the cereal in first? Question mark.
Okay, we can still be friends. So you put the cereal in the bowl and then you pour in the milk. And then
Why
sometimes
the fuck would I do that?
I don't know, but there are people out there who are milk
That's
first.
concerning. That's concerning.
And have you ever tried like putting like a little bit of sugar over it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the good stuff. And then you have it, and then frosted side down on the tongue, hold in there a little bit, savor the taste.
Yeah. Savor the taste.
Mm-hmm.
Damn, I'm about to run out of this house and grab some.
I'm gonna go get some frosted mini wheats.
That shit sounds so good right now. Next time you come over here, I'm stacking up my fucking. I'm stacking up my pantry with those for you because I think you ever do the thing where like you forget a food for a while and then you remember it and you're like, oh my god, I forgot I love that food, and then you eat it for like 9 days straight and then you forget about it again. Me right now. That's frosting mini wheat.
That was me with zebra cakes a couple weeks ago.
Oh, zebra cakes. Yeah. Ooh.
It was like one of those things that we're always like, oh, can we get a snack for the ride home, Mom? Like every time we go shopping, and then like she would get us on special occasions, she'd get us some Little Debbie snacks, and more often than not, they were zebra cakes.
Zebra cakes.
Fucking banger of a snack, if I do say so myself.
My aunt, whenever we go over to her house, it was already a treat because she lived in the suburbs, and I love the suburbs as someone grew up in the country. I was like, you got a McDonald's? Like, right down the road? That's like, crazy.
You can walk to school?
People walk the dogs at night, and they're not afraid about getting eaten by a coyote? Amazing! Like,
good. Where are your fireflies at?
Yeah, like, wow. Oh, actually, I will say, fireflies do exist in the suburbs, or at least I assume they do because they exist in the city. Like, they're everywhere around here.
Okay, that's good.
Which is weird.
My cousin came up from Texas, and she's just like, the forest is lighting up, and I was like, yep, those are fireflies. It was so cute.
Like, huh? Yeah. Anyway, I don't know what that was about. Oh yeah, I remember. So whenever I'd go over there, she'd buy me honey buns, the Little Debbie's honey buns.
Yes.
And I would just like take the whole thing and shove it in my mouth and like a cartoon character and swallow it whole.
Yep.
Because those were really good. So anyway, those are some foods we like. In case you're looking for ways to compensate us besides, like sending us money. Give us some money.
Give us some money. So now that we've rated the snacks in our lives, what would you rate?
Yes.
On a scale of 1 to 5 days on the run as a criminal, how would you rate The Outsiders?
I would give it a 3 out of 5. And I feel bad doing that because this is my favorite. Like, this isn't not my favorite book, but it doesn't like stand out to me above the other books we read in school because there are some other really phenomenal books like To Kill a Mockingbird. Night by L.I. Wiesel is another one that comes to mind. Both of which we won't be reviewing, I think, this time around, but we should definitely. I feel like I need to reread because they're amazing. But yeah, still a good book. So 3 out of 5. How about you?
I also said 3 out of 5 because it's good. It's good. I think it's a really good and easy read, and I think it is a good book to start off with freshman year of high school or whenever you read it in high school. I think it is a good required reading book, but again, it's just one of those that, like you said, it didn't stand out as much as some of the others that we had to read in high school did. So like there's a couple that we're going to be reading this month that I'm more excited about than I was for this, although I was pleasantly surprised with how much I did enjoy reading it this time. But It's good. It's not stand out, but it's a good book. The Outsiders.
It's a good book.
Everyone should read it in high school.
Yeah, and
Just
I wish
an idea.
Yeah, good idea. You should contact the federal government about that.
Yeah.
I wish I'd appreciated it more in school, to be fair.
Yeah.
At the time, I think we were all just like, stay gold pony boy. But
Yeah.
like, people died in the book, and there was like a huge like subplot about class consciousness that I think would have benefited a lot of us poor kids who went to school together. So
Yeah.
Maybe we could have formed some class solidarity over this book. I don't know. All right, Caitlin, this isn't in our notes, but I thought that to every single week, just to go with our back to school theme, we could tell like a high school story, each of us.
Oh no.
I know, I hate to put you on the spot, but I was just thinking this as we were talking, to like go, just to like really emphasize that the back to school vibes here. So it doesn't have to be a big story. It could be like a small story. And I cannot start because I don't know. I don't remember.
Oh, I have one.
Yay! Okay.
Okay. So, it's a little mean, but I remember my freshman year of high school. I'm pretty sure it was our freshman year. Okay, so school yearbooks, right? They come out every year, towards the end of the school year. And I think he was I don't know if he was our vice principal at the time or not. He had a picture in the yearbook for like, you know, like his picture, like, this is so-and-so and he's our superintendent or whatever the hell he was. We had a lot of moving parts in our school. We didn't consistently have one principal.
Yes.
But he was a guy in our school and he was always there. And his picture, poor guy, it was like a deer in the headlights. His eyes were wide open. Do you remember it?
I sure do.
Oh my God, how can you forget? It was like someone like scared him before they took the picture, and it was just the worst picture. And a couple of the seniors were like holding the yearbook up and going, look at it, like making sure everyone saw it. It was like almost like a punishment. Not the nicest high school memory, but it was the first one that popped into mind when I thought freshman year.
It's fond, all right. It's a fond memory.
It was funny because the adult in question, he was very good-natured about it. He was just like, it was a bad picture. He kind of laughed about it. But just to have like these boys being like, look at it, and shoving it into your face as you're trying to get to lunch.
Yeah.
It's very funny to me. That
was a good one.
What's a high school memory for you?
So we're talking about freshman year, right?
Yeah.
I feel like I do have one. Okay. So in freshman year, and the years following that, I was like the girl in high school that thought she could sing. So I was like the one that was like.
But you had a good voice.
Things, like,
I don't want you to be humble about that. You have a good voice.
I am going to just keep talking over you because I need to like. Because, like, there is a girl in every school that, like, is good for the school, but she's not good for, like, the outside world. Like, if I went to music school, I would get taken the fuck out really quickly, you know? And I would get humbled. You know, like, so I was the girl that, like, sing at the pep rally and, like, sing.
You were that girl.
So and sing like the national anthem and like whatever, you know, like like that's who I was. I'm disappointed in that. If you ever wondered if you're at home and you're an alumni of my school, if I actually enjoyed doing it, no, it was for clout. You're correct, it was for clout. Had to keep appearances up somehow. And because I'm a narcissist, I need at least one day a year where everybody is looking at me and clapping. So, one year at Christmas time, I sang at the high school winter pep rally, and I was very excited about this because it was my moment, right? in the pageantry of high school, that was my moment. And I was going to sing Stevie Wonder's What Christmas Means to Me.
Oh, yeah.
And so I did. And, I was getting more comfortable in my skin. So I was getting more comfortable. So I was like, rousing up the crowd and doing whatever. And I did that. And then I went on with my life, as most people do after that happens, because it was a high school pep rally. And then that weekend, I was at my grandmother's house for Christmas, and I got a DM on Facebook, and I went and I looked at it, and it was this guy from high school in our theater group, like our theater, our high school theater kid, gentleman, man. I want to say high school theater kid. I don't mean like Corey Monteith, right? I mean like the fedora gentleman, like milady. That's what I'm talking about. And he sent me the longest paragraph about how I would be a better singer if I improved my form, and if I actually wanted to be a singer, then I'd be better at it, because I don't know, it was just the longest paragraph about my singing that I've ever. It was so weird, and I think about it to this day, because it was literally a high school pep rally. It was literally
a fun
4 minutes of my life that I forget at least 3 times a year. And this man took it to heart. He was like, you would improve your form as a singer if you would just take it seriously. You're not taking it seriously. And I was like, I am 16 and I am in school.
How
and
embarrassing.
Why would I be taking that seriously?
Imagine peaking in high school.
Very frightening. Very frightening. So he told me though.
Oh man,
so
he got you good.
If I had just taken him seriously, then I think I'd be a singer today. But maybe I still have the chops.
Thanks.
Just gonna say, my other story is there was this kid once. This isn't really a story. This is just a vignette. I sat next to this guy in freshman English while we were reading The Outsiders, who would literally just crack his back both ways every single day in class and make eye contact with me while he did it. And that was just I think about that all the time. That was disgusting. Joe, if you're out there, fuck you for that.
Oh, Joe. Oh, well, thank you for listening to Lit by Moonlight. Tune in next time when we try to avoid the judgmental gaze of Dr. T.J. Ecclesburg in The Great Gatsby.
Got me looking so crazy right now. I'll sing us out. The love got me looking so crazy right now. People are gonna hear this at home and they're gonna be like, "Wow, she really can't sing."
You let her sing in the pep rally?
Is she serious? The worst part is you'll never know.
We're gonna get a YouTube comment from that guy who DM'd you in high school and be like, "If you just did this with your voice, you would have made it."
If only you'd taken it seriously.
Why didn't you take my advice, Emberlin?
I tip my fedora to you, sir.
Milady.
Milady.